Hello, my name is Preston Norrie, and I am here as the millennial spokesperson for Andre Horton, who is running for state senator for the 49th district, and I'm currently here with him, and we're going to be taking some questions and answers, go over what has been going on in the county, issues with COVID, and a variety of other topics here tonight. And it is my absolute pleasure to first and foremost introduce Andre Horton.
Preston, thank you so very much for that warm introduction. I'm looking forward to this conversation. There are a lot of interesting things going on in the county. I know COVID-19 kind of dominates the discussion, as well it should, because our most important task at hand is to slow the spread of COVID-19 to keep the curve flat. So we can have a conversation about a number of things, whether it's the new election law, whether it's what some of the things that the county is invested in for COVID relief, and any other number of things that are happening in the county, because there are many. In fact, tomorrow morning, it's going to be a Board of Education. Well, tomorrow afternoon, Board of Education is meeting, and one of the most interesting things, and probably the most important thing going on outside of COVID, is the Erie County's community college application.
Thank you so much, Andre. Also, remember, anyone, if you have any questions, just remember to dial *6, and we can take your questions, no problem. First and foremost, Andre, what has been going on with the county in regards to COVID?
The county in regards to COVID. Well, the county's not off on an island. Certainly we're dealing with the global pandemic, as are many municipalities and counties across the nation, and indeed, I should say, the world. But here at the local level, March 17th is kind of the day that everything jumped off here. And so the county declared a state of emergency. We asked people to shelter in place, and we're still asking people to take those precautionary measures to the most basic things. You know, if you have to cough or sneeze, cough into your elbow, wash your hands with warm soapy water at least 20 seconds, say your ABCs twice, that type thing, and shelter in place. So with the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, it mandated or dictated that we have a response. And I'm proud to say that my colleagues and I did respond in conjunction or in partnership with the Erie County Game and Revenue Authority and Dr. Perry Wood. One of the suggestions that I made was that perhaps the Erie County Game and Revenue Authority would establish a COVID-19 relief fund. And we had discussions with ECRA, and we decided that it was a great idea. I asked my colleagues would they put $150,000 in, or $100,000 in initially, and we were asking the Game and Revenue Authority to match it. Well, they far exceeded the match. They put $500,000 in, and we had a three-pronged plan. That initial wave of the plan was to take care of the immediate human relief, i.e. food. We want to feed people. Here in this town, before COVID-19, there are food deserts. And so with the onslaught of COVID-19, life, as a lot of people knew, it was changed and upset with all the workers out of work, all the businesses being shuttered. There was a strong need for food, and it was an immediate need. So ECRA invested in the COVID-19 fund. The first wave was to go to food pantries, daycare centers, child care providers, and the elderly. So we're proud to say that we got money out to that demographic, or we got money out on the street quicker than the state or the federal government, and that's something that my colleagues and I are very, very proud of. Some of the money is used to buy face shields and masks for our first responders. In fact, I just picked up a box of face shields that I'm going to be delivering to the volunteer fire department and the police department in my district in the morning. We're very proud of that. And so, of course, we're always looking to look out after our elderly and our youth.
Seems like you have a pretty tangible and cognitive plan, ready and able to be well informed and well worked and thought out. It seems we also have a couple of questions here. We have one from a wireless caller here. Let's see if we can patch them through.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, so I already voted my absentee ballot, but I understand that there's actually a drop box people can use. They can either mail the ballot back, which the postage is already paid, or there's a drop box and there's a deadline to get an absentee ballot. Can you clarify some of that?
Yes, that's a great question and great observation. And it's, again, another thing that I, as the chairman of Erie County Council for the second time, are very proud of. I'm proud of my election board chairman, Councilman Anderson. But we, the council as a whole, we decided that we, with all the Act 77 changes that were coming down, i.e. the no-fault absentee ballot or the mail-in voting, that it warranted having a drop-off box that would have a chain of custody attached to it, and so that we could receive ballots or applications back from the mail-in during close of business hours. You can also walk right in, even though we're on I guess we're called yellow now, but even before that, if you had essential business, which our voters registration office is very essential at this time. Last Tuesday would have been the election. And so the box actually was the first in the entire Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and they're using us as a model. And the Democratic Party at Jim Wertz's prompting, then we put that box out there. So we're very proud of it. There are deadlines for the absentee ballot. You can find all of that information basically on our website or the county website. But I think there's 2 weeks left for the voter registration. I don't have the dates in front of me. I should have them in my head, but I just left a council meeting dealing with a lot of numbers. But 2 weeks from today, I think, or yesterday, I think it's 2 weeks from today is the last that you can register to vote. Of course, the election previously was scheduled for April 28th, 2020. The COVID-19, the virus dictates everything now, and so we've moved it back to June 2nd. We're currently looking to release promo videos to talk about some of the different things that are happening with the voting, because with Act 77, for the first time, we have paper ballots here in Erie County. So we're going to, with a blended election, we're encouraging most people to mail in, but we know that some people are going to come in and actually fill out the paper ballot and vote. We have poll worker training going on. I think May 18th is the last day to register. May 28th is the last day to mail in your application. And June 2nd is the day that you're going to put boots on the ground and you're going to go down to the polling place and you're going to pull the lever, or in this case, fill out the paper ballot for Andre Horton for senator on the 49th District of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So there are a lot of exciting things happening with with voting itself. Here within the county, the COVID-19, we didn't just stop with the $100,000. We came back. We extended the state of emergency. It's after the county council can extend it. She can only extend it for 7 days. After that, county council is the only one that can extend it here locally. But we're for the first time in a long time, the county seems to be rolling in the same direction. I'd like to give a shout out to the county executive. He's done a tremendous job. Her and Melissa Lyons in the health department. Well, of course, we're one of only 10 health departments in the entire Commonwealth, which has greatly contributed. It's greatly contributed to us being able to flatten the curve around here. So we're very proud of that as well. Pleasant Ridge Manor. Everything's going on with the nursing homes. I'm happy to report that Pleasant Ridge Manor, we haven't had any major issues out there, and they've been supplied PPE. The county has gotten grant money, to continuing to get grant money to fight the COVID virus. One of the most exciting things is we just left a meeting. We had our county council meeting this evening, and we know I've always been an advocate for testing or screening. I think without it, you're like a kid in the backyard with a blindfold on, swinging at a pinata. And so I'm happy to say that the health department is partnering with the neighborhood centers, or several of the neighborhood centers, to start doing screening because Zone 1 is a hot zone. And so we're going to start where the initial problem is, and hopefully we'll be able to track some numbers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your question, caller. We're going to move right on to the next question from Miss Elena Dix.
Good evening, and thank you for taking my question. Regarding Pleasant Ridge Manor, I was happy to hear them say they had no COVID cases, but disappointed to hear that that's on the basis of some symptom screening for residents and staff, and on the basis of no testing, zero testing. So I would like to know is what is being done to confirm the health and welfare of everyone involved and living at Pleasant Ridge Manor as a county facility with testing, so that we can have confidence in the zero COVID number that they quote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question, great and a great observation. As we know, testing is the priority of the day. Not just here at Pleasant Ridge Manor, or not just here in the city of Erie, but certainly in new places like New York or Los Angeles, and all throughout the country. All throughout the country, it's test. We don't have enough tests, so we're left to the devices of the healthcare professionals, and at this point, there is no cure for it. And so the best that we can hope to do right now is contact tracing those individuals who display flu-like symptoms or any of the symptoms, or who have been exposed to people who have had the virus, or have been exposed to people who have had the virus. Then certainly they'll get tested. The first responders that come in contact with it, certainly they'll get tested. But right now, I think we just got the report from Pleasant Ridge Manor, and no, the testing here in Erie County as a whole are very, very limited. And I think that St. Vincent's and the medical institutions are doing most of the testing, or have most of the testing capability. Also, when we take our tests, when we do tests, we send it out. I think the return times have gotten down, but it might take 5-7 days. They were going out to California. Since then, I think they've taken a more common sense approach.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dix, for your question. We're going to be moving on to the next question from Miss Ellen Smith.
Hi. Thanks for listening to my call. My question is, during making phone calls for the Andre Horton campaign, some of the seniors that I was talking with, they're struggling with getting a absentee or mail-in ballot. They tell you to go online or to call the courthouse. I was brought to my attention that the other party, they're just sending out like mass mail-in ballots or absentee ballots to their party. And my question is, if the Democrats I know it's time, the time is of the essence at this point, but is that even feasible? So that they wouldn't have to go through calling or going online. They would just show up and they can just complete it.
Yep. Two things. The National Republican Party did, in fact, mail in ballots to all the super voters anyway. on there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that the local or the national party has done that, but certainly the Horton for Senate campaign, we're trying to make it a priority, and we've tried to get mail-in ballots to our super voters as well, and many of them have already voted, have used the box, and so we're certainly encouraging it, and it is a concern. If it were up to me, and it may very well get to that, because we're asking. And one of the things that kind of handicaps me is as a member of council, I would automatically be on the election board, but as I'm on the ballot, I'm a ex parte member, which means I can't vote on anything. But I like to think that by me having the most experience and the most wisdom there, that they tend to listen to me a little bit, and so I'm of the mindset that Erie County Board of Elections should mail out absentee ballots to every voter in the city, I mean in the county. And I know that it would be at some cost, but we're in COVID-19. We're someplace we've never been before, and so it might take measures that we've never used before.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
I'm glad you talked about seniors, too, because one of the other things the county did was we I guess it's like forbearance. We waived the penalty for late taxes, and so if you and so people don't have to pay their taxes to the end of the year, and they still wouldn't be considered late. And so it was a small thing, a small measure. It was a small measure, but I'd also one of the reasons I want to go to Harrisburg is because our seniors do. And those who are on fixed income do have dilemma. Their dilemma is high property taxes, and so there are two candidates for the Democratic nomination and one on the Republican nomination. By far, I'm the most experienced. And when you look at the three, when you hold them up in contrast, one has to ask themselves, which one of these people will go down and fight for me, and which one of these people will go down and fight for the people. And then there's this book I read on Sundays, and it declares that you judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. And I've bared a lot of fruit over the years, both in the county and civically. So I'm very, very proud of that, and I look forward to working for and with the seniors and trying to meet their needs.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ms. Smith. We're going to be moving on to our next question here. Whenever you are ready, you're able to speak.
Hello, Andre?
Yes?
It's Mike here. Mike Curtis.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hi, Mike.
Andre?
Thanks for calling. Yes, Mike.
Oh, sure. I've got a question concerning the status of polling places. Can we at this point in time know that all of the voting stations will, in fact, be open on June 2nd so we don't have a Milwaukee situation, where a lot of closures of polling stations would cause long lines? Any idea on that? Is everything pretty good in terms of the status quo?
We're great. We're great on that, Mike. Erie probably has more polling stations than they need, and we certainly have more than 5, which is what Milwaukee did. If you can imagine, it's criminal.
Yeah,
it's immoral. A city the size of Milwaukee, and you open up five polling stations. Of course, you're going to have lines. But
that was our
we're encouraging the mail-in vote. Even on our busiest days, some of our larger polling stations might get a more steadier trickle, but we rarely have lines here in Erie County.
Along with that, and we had this discussion prior to your appearance, is I sent in for my mail-in a couple of weeks ago, and I have read where some people 3-4 weeks and they're still waiting. Can voters be assured, to the best of your knowledge, that they won't be cut out of a mail-in ballot, forcing them to go to the polls, especially in the cases of the elderly folks?
Yeah, everybody who requests a mail-in ballot is going to get a mail-in ballot. Here's the dilemma. Again, Act 77, before you never had that option of mailing in. So last presidential, before you never had that option of mailing in. Right. You could do the absentee ballot and stuff. So last March, last April this time, or the last big election, they had like 4,000 mail-in or absentee ballots. We have like 12,000 the applications that have already come in, and we're addressing it. In fact, we've subcontracted. We went outside and hired other people from Gore's Printing to help us sort and stuff, and so that we're on top of it. And I'm godly proud of the Mr. Smith, our office clerk, and Miss Tanya Witt, the election staff. They're like really proving that they're battle tested under pressure.
Okay. So when we talk to voters, we can guarantee them that they will get that mail-in ballot, and they'll have no problem.
I'd stand on it. I'd stand on it. Yeah, I'd stand on it. And we got extra funding from the state. We just got to the election board, county election board. We got money for extra funding for cleaning, sanitizing, and for PPE for our poll workers and stuff. So we've, and even if here's what I'm going to tell you too. Even if they don't, if by some chance someone doesn't get a mail-in ballot, they can still have a provisional ballot. Provisional ballot is going to always. That's like the catch-all. That's like, okay, your address doesn't match your license, and you're first time voting there because there's no voter ID unless you're voting at a polling place for the very first time, and they don't know you. And so that's you don't have your middle name's Charles, but you signed your voter registration card, Edward Charles. And all they have is
rolls in Georgia over,
and so Erie Board of Elections is pretty thorough, and so and we make mistakes. We're not perfect. We make mistakes, but we try to rectify them, and we own up to them.
Okay, because as was stated earlier, and by yourself just a minute ago, there is definitely from the people I've spoken with, is definitely a wanting of mail-in ballots, naturally, and it's, once again, especially with the elderly. And
well, I'll tell you this: if you know of anybody personally that wants a mail-in ballot, Mike, you can call my headquarters or go on our Facebook page. We'll be glad to hand deliver it.
Okay, I hear you for sure. Okay, Valerie says things are going well, so fantastic, Andre. That sounds good. All righty, sir. Thank you. And hey, be safe out there, okay?
Thank you so much for your questions and everything. And also remember, if you are unable to get a mail-in ballot by unable to go online, we'll be doing our best to make sure that you're able to get a mail-in ballot, whether it be hand-delivered or mailed out. And if in case, we always have provisional ballots, which are the catch-all. As Mr. Horton had discussed earlier, if you want to go in on that day, get a provisional ballot, takes care of everything. And remember, June 2nd is the day that everyone has to go out. Now, one more question for you, Mr. Horton. In response, what is this Board of Education meeting that we have coming up here?
I'm glad you asked that question. This Board of Education meeting is probably a meeting, a prelude, hopefully, to a vote. A vote that didn't happen in 2006. It didn't happen in 2010. That very reason put me in the race for county council. I ran on the issue of a community college in 2017. My colleagues had the political will to say that we would sponsor it, we the county. 2006, 2010 clearly said that we needed one. And the only thing that's really changed since then is the numbers have gotten worse. The median income gap has grown. The achievement gap has widened. And now with the COVID-19, my God, we need a standalone community college more than ever. We need to place that in our quiver. We need to have every tool at our disposal that other communities have throughout the Commonwealth as they attempt to recover from this unprecedented economic crisis. And so that hearing tomorrow, well, it's not a hearing, it's a meeting. In the November meeting, the Board of Education imposed a 6-month time frame on themselves and said that they would have an evidentiary hearing. They were supposed to have it here in Erie. Of course, COVID changed everything. The virus changes. The virus dictates where we go now. And so we're unable to hold that meeting on March 18th, and they're going to hold the meeting tomorrow. Not the evidentiary hearing, but just their general meeting. It's our hopes, and we've requested by letter, and it's our hopes that we'll get some movement, and they'll commit to a date that we'll vote in a day in the very near future. And so tomorrow, if you go on the Pennsylvania Board of Education, you'll get all the information as to what time the meeting starts and, and what their agenda is. It's probably the most exciting, probably the most important thing that could happen to this community in terms of educating your workforce and workforce development. And so we're closer than ever before. And I'm very, very proud to say that I pushed that. I drove that wagon. The co-founder of Empower Erie, who received the Susan Hagen Transformational Award of $4 million to help us in our effort. And I want to thank everyone who ever did anything for Empower Erie or the Erie County to help us move the ball closer to the goal line, no matter how small it was. If it was you attended a Empower Erie informational event, or if you sent in questions when we had forums, or if you participated in our surveys, whatever you did, we certainly appreciate it. Before we go, I want to talk a little bit about the small businesses, which probably I should be talking a lot about, because small businesses are the fabric that holds this country together. They employ most of the people in this nation, and right now they're taking a hit. And just like the certain demographics are hit harder physically by the COVID, that also applies to those on the lowest rung of the economic ladder. And so that's the retailers, the hairstylists, the barbers, the daycare providers, the food workers, the essential worker that the federal government, and by proxy, I guess the Commonwealth, has placed a value on them of $7.25 an hour. I want to go to Harrisburg to fight that. If nothing screams $15 an hour, nothing screams sustainable wages, family sustainable wages like COVID-19. And so we have millions out of work. And so there's only one or two ways. My dad said that you're out of poverty. It's either you do a job or you educate yourself. You either learn your way out or you work your way out. And those are things that the Horton campaign, the Horton family, has stood for: workforce development, economic development, equity across all boards. And so we're excited about that Board of Education meeting. I believe with everything in me that Erie will have its own standalone community college.
Thank you so much for that one, Andre. A couple of things to keep in mind here. If you have any other questions or have any other concerns, remember we have a website at Elect Andre Horton. That's ANDRE Horton.com. And also if you want to talk to someone physically, we got a phone ready whenever you are willing to call. Leave a message. We'll take care of it. That number is, get out your pens here, it's 814-580-8040. And remember, guys, this is quite the situation that we're dealing with here, but you heard it here first that Andre Horton is here fighting for you guys, for a community college, fighting for small businesses, and he'll take care of the 49th District.
Preston, I thank you. Preston, I alluded to the small business persons, and I didn't go where I wanted to go with it. Where I wanted to go with it is some of those businesses didn't have the capacity to apply for the very limited PPP funds. And so it's a case where you even had Fortune 500 companies taking money that was intended for mom and pop businesses, and so they've had to find their way to be creative. Those businesses are still closed, and so many of those sole proprietors are eligible for unemployment. They may not know it, and so I want to tell you, admonish you, if you're a sole proprietor, you're a business owner, you may be eligible for unemployment, and you should go on the PA unemployment work website because many of you are eligible. You've never been eligible before, and that goes for the waiters or the waitresses. Unemployment it's probably the best that we can do right now, but there's going to be another wave. There's going to be another wave that's going to come, and hopefully it's going to hit its mark. And its mark being those of the least vulnerable, or the most vulnerable, I should say. The COVID-19 pressed and illuminated a lot of things. It illuminated the lack of equity across the board. It illuminated the lack of equity in education in the school system. In that just a couple weeks ago, Erie School District, the largest district in the region, kids were picking up lunch and paper homework. And so now, what we found out, because in addition to the community college discussion, is the Northwest Rural Regional College, which is an online a distance learning model, and that may work for some people. And certainly we look forward to working with them through series of letters of articulation and MOAs. MOA is a bad word around here, but we look forward to working with them after Erie County establishes their own community college. But another thing that was illuminated is that we don't have the technology, and so we're running Chrome notebooks to a house that might have 6 kids. They're trying to do homework, 6, 7 kids, 5 kids, 3,000, 4,000 homes. And the Erie School District don't have internet. And so those are issues that should be taken up at the state level. And I want to go down to Harrisburg and fight for you. And those who would say, listen, every one of us in the race is going to say, I'm going to fight for you. And so I think that's the mantra when you're running for it. But what you got to do is you got to look at the history and you got to see who has fought for you. And you got to see, because I'm not a Johnny-come-lately, And so I look forward. I think we're having a Zoom debate or something on May 12th. I look forward to it because there will be a stark contrast to the candidates. And what you'll see is that Andre Horton is by far the most experienced legislator on that Zoom call. And so we look forward to it.
Well, once again, I wanted to thank you so much, Andre, for coming out here and being able to discuss with us for this quick Q&A session. Once again, we have our resources at Elect Andre Horton.